Rather lads, welcome back to Cossy's Arsenal podcast. My name is Cossy. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in all parts of the world. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to a brand new video. Gonna be diving into the latest around Arsenal. We have a couple of stories today. Aaron Ramsdale is signing a new deal with Arsenal. Contract negotiations have already started according to the Ghana blog, and very soon he will be getting a substantial contract that actually suits him as Arsenal's number one. Fabrizio Romano has said that MUDRYK and his representatives have already told Arsenal and given us the green light to go ahead, bid and negotiate with Shakhtar because they will be joining Arsenal and not any other side. And Arsenal have also revealed that they are willing to spend over 80 million euros on MUDRYK and TIELEMANS. 20 million euros on TIELEMANS and 60 on MUDRYK. We're going to be discussing all those stories. We're also going to be going through the comments of Shakhtar manager Igor Jovicevic about the player and some more stories on Alexis McAllister as well. So hit the like button. Let's get this video to 300 likes. Subscribe to the podcast as well. We're very close to 61,000 subscribers, and you guys have actually done it. So let's get into the content. First and foremost, according to the Ghana blog, we are in talks with Aaron Ramsdale and his representatives to see that the player actually gets an advanced deal as Arsenal's number one. Now, it is not primarily about extending his deal because he has just signed for Arsenal not so many summers ago. But what I think what they're trying to do here is they're trying to elevate his pay, elevate his salary, and also try to reward him for the good work he's done ever since he came in this Arsenal side. I think it's been really decent for Arsenal. I don't know how much they want to give him, but I pray it is not in the regions of 180, 190 or 200k like we're hearing with Gabriel Martinelli, William Saliba and all these other players. I think with Aaron Ramsdale, if he gets a contract between £100,000 per week and then £150,000 per week, I think that will be absolutely, all right. So what Arsenal want is to reward him. They want to reward a couple of players, actually. It's not only Aaron Ramsdale, Saliba, Xhaka, Odegaard, Gabriel Jesus. All these players will get some kind of rewards in their contracts when Arsenal are trying to trigger or are trying to extend them as well. But Ramsdale is going to be one of the first players that actually get his contracts better. That we are trying to better the contract, trying to make it better in terms of salary, in terms of what he's earning, and also in terms of bonuses. So the talks are underway according to the Ghana blog, and he also says Arsenal in this week are going to be triggering Charlie Patino's contract, which has a clause that Arsenal can actually extend it by 2 years. So many clubs are interested in Patino, including FC Barcelona. And you look at Barcelona and they're interested in Patino, you understand the level at which this boy is. Actually, when I look at Charlie Patino, I still believe he's better than Gavi. I think Gavi has been widely publicized, widely marketed, and Charlie Patino, not really widely marketed, right? I think that's the difference between the two. But I think really, Charlie Patino is a very good player. So Patino's contract to be extended this week, and Aaron Ramsdale this week has started talks to extend his deal and also get some better money, some better salaries, of course, in the bank as Arsenal's number one. So we will be letting you know when anything happens and when anything actually breaks through out of that. Now, Fabrizio Romano has now confirmed that Arsenal have now been given the full legal green light by MUDRYK's representatives to talk to Shakhtar Donetsk and also make for more bids. Now, a couple of clubs have been interested in MUDRYK. However, his representatives can now confirm that he will be going to Arsenal if a deal can be struck between the two clubs, Arsenal and Shakhtar Donetsk. So we're not going to be competing with so many other clubs like it was a couple of weeks ago. We thought all these other clubs, Borussia Dortmund, Manchester City, Manchester United, Madrid, PSG, were all gonna come in and make life very difficult for Arsenal. Now, it's not going to be like that. It's not going to be a smooth run. I'm not saying it's going to be a smooth run, but MUDRYK has actually turned down all other clubs, according to Fabrizio, and he's given Arsenal the green light to sign him. So it's all about Arsenal and Shakhtar now agreeing on a price, probably in the region of 60 million euros, probably in the region of around 70 million euros. But if we can agree a deal for MUDRYK, the player is 100% prepared. That has been communicated to Arsenal, and I thought this was actually gonna come when Shakhtar called him for training back on 9th January. I think what they're trying to do here is they're trying to work with time. They're trying to beat time. They don't want the player to go back in training with the rest of the squad. So what Shakhtar are doing, they're going public. They're calling all sorts of clubs into the deal, trying to negotiate with them. And then also MUDRYK is working against time, trying to tell Arsenal, hey, I'm available. I want to play for you guys. And I know you want me. Come and get me. So it's going to be between Edu and Mikel Arteta. How fast can we negotiate the deal? Because that is a very key prerequisite for any January deal. How fast is the deal going to happen? Is it going to take weeks? Is it going to take months? Because it's 1 month. It's only 30 days, actually. So you don't have a lot of time to work with. All you have to do is to get these deals done over the line. So Arsenal are now the only team that have the right to negotiate with Shakhtar. We are the only team that have been given the green light by the player and his side to actually negotiate and sign him, from Shakhtar Donetsk. So this one should actually propel us to make a bid. In my opinion, in the coming hours or in the coming days, Arsenal should be making a bid for MUDRYK. Otherwise, this is an opportunity we actually cannot turn down. Now, in terms of the budget, this January, of course, we have 50 million euros to work with. That is not changing unless otherwise. If I get some new information, I'm going to be letting you know. But what I know right now is Arsenal Mikel Arteta Edu, we have 50 million euros to work with in January. Now, Arsenal are expected to spend over 80 million euros on 2 players, and that is MUDRYK and Youri Tielemans. So we are prepared and we are ready to splash over 80 million euros on those two. And this is how we're going to do it. So first and foremost, Arsenal don't want to pay over 60 million euros, or we don't want to pay in excess of 60 million euros. The price that the money and the fee we have actually prepared for Shakhtar in signing MUDRYK is in the region of 60 million euros. Arsenal also still believe 20 million euros will be able to convince Leicester City to sell Youri Tielemans in January. So I think in the end, Arsenal would prefer to spend 80 million euros on these 2 deals. I'm actually very, very convinced that there will not be any more incomings. If we can get these 2 down through the middle in January, I don't think there will be any more incomings from Arsenal in the January transfer window. I don't think we'll sign a new striker after signing MUDRYK and Tielemans. I don't think we'll sign a left-sided centre-back like it has been reported. I think those are all deals we shall actually work on, in the summer, right? So 80 million euros. It means Arsenal do have the liberty still to spend only 50 million euros in January. And then come the summer, we can spend some more money on this deal. So, for example, if we paid 30 million euros upfront for MUDRYK, and the rest of the 30 actually comes in what you call installments or add-ons, it means Arsenal can actually structure a deal worth 60 million euros, and then we pay that money across maybe 1 or 2 years, okay? So I think that is what is really, really going to happen. I don't think Shakhtar will be desperate to say, oh, the money should be paid up front, unless they take a significant cut in their expectations. If they go for around 45 million euros or 40 million euros, then it is highly likely that they will say, oh, the money should be paid in 1 installment, all right? But if it's not that, then I'm highly expecting and I'm highly anticipating that all these deals are actually going to be structured across a period of some time. Now, the only team that I think will be asking for money up front, for an upfront fee, is Leicester City. I think with Leicester, they don't want to sell, but they also don't have any power over who he talks to, over who Youri Tielemans talks to, especially in January. He can talk to all clubs outside the Premier League, outside the UK. So what they're going to be doing here is they're going to be looking at it into perspectives. If there is a club willing to give us a significant amount of money, and that amount of money is not going to be paid across 10 years, across 5 years, that money is going to be paid maybe in 1 year, in a very, very short period of time, they will be able to sell because, I mean, you don't have a reason as a business, you don't have a reason to turn down very, very good money, okay? So I think for me, this is kind of a genius from Arsenal, willing to splash over 80 million euros. That is money that Shakhtar want in one player. But if we want to splash over 80 million euros on those two, I highly see us signing at least one of them, all right? At least one of them. There are so many other options we can actually look at, but in my opinion, Youri Tielemans and MUDRYK signing for 80 million euros, that is an absolute genius of a window. It would be an absolutely decorated window for Arsenal. And I hope that actually, that happens, all right? So, but stories are also coming in and saying that if we don't get Youri Tielemans in January, or even if we fail to get him in the summer, provided he actually talks to another club, ties him, he signs a pre-contract with another club from overseas, Arsenal will focus on Alexis McAllister. Now, we've talked about Alexis McAllister and his contribution to Argentina and his contribution to Brighton. I'm very, very sure Brighton will be selling Alexis McAllister. I've had the words of their president and their CEO, and literally, he's just confirmed that if there is any clubs interested, right, they will be selling Alexis McAllister. They won't. I think they won't sell him in the summer. The same situation with Caicedo, Tariq Lamptey, and all these players. They will be on the move. They will be on the move in the summer, but not in January. I think Brighton will be so stupid if they decided to sell their players in January. They still have a chance to finish top 10. They still have a chance to finish top 8 as well, if they can actually hang on in there, all right? So Alexis McAllister is the other player Arsenal will be looking at to replace Youri Tielemans in terms of our midfield priorities. I think McAllister will do the job, actually. He's a very talented boy, very, very talented guy. Can play as a 10, can play as a number 8, can play on the wings as well. And I think he's very, very hardworking. So you look at, I look at Xhaka, and then I look at Alexis McAllister, and I'm like, McAllister could be some kind of an upgrade to Granit Xhaka, because I think McAllister runs a lot. McAllister has a lot of defensive impact from midfield. He has a lot of attacking threat as well. Scores the goals. He's good, somehow good at free kicks. Of course, he cannot take free kicks for Argentina and penalties for Argentina, but he takes the penalties for Brighton and he takes the free kicks for Brighton as well. Okay, you look at all those components put together in one player, and you would love to say it's the perfect recipe. To be honest, I would say it is the perfect recipe of a player. But I would still prefer Youri Tielemans over McAllister. I think Tielemans is an attacking threat. He's really defined himself as a player very good in the final third. So if Arsenal want to do it, then definitely let's first try Youri Tielemans. If he fails, then we can move on to Alexis McAllister. Got no problems with that one. Okay, now the director at Shakhtar, that is Sina, has been speaking, and he said if Mikhailo Mudryk was Brazilian, he would be worth 100 million euros right now. Actually, he says if he had a Brazilian passport, he would be worth 100 million euros right now. And his reason is actually because he says Mikhailo Mudryk is actually better than all the Brazilians they have ever had at the team. Now, I think Shakhtar have really brought up some very, very good talent over the years. They have given us some interesting Brazilians. I don't know whether Mudryk is better than all the players that we have seen at Shakhtar, and I don't want to judge, to be honest, but that statement that if he had a Brazilian passport, he would be worth 100 million euros actually means they're not valuing him at 100 million euros. It means they, inside them, they know no one is going to give them 100 million euros, and they're willing to negotiate their stance. They're willing to negotiate the price they've actually put out there. And that is quite very, very fascinating in my opinion. Very, very fascinating. It's kind of a KO to their own teeth by saying that. Why would you come out and say that? And I've seen them speak in a very, very uncoordinated manner, it's going to cause them really big problems, especially in this deal. I won't be very surprised if they end up selling him for significantly less than they actually hoped for. All right. And then also, Igor Jovicevic, the manager at Shakhtar, has come out and said right now, no one has actually met our valuation for the player, and he actually says, I hope he stays. I hope I can get some more time to work with him as a player, because he's a phenomenal world-class wonder talent. Okay, so I think the communication from Shakhtar again today shows the same thing. Igor Jovicevic, the manager, says, I wish I get more time to work with him. I wish he stays. All right. And he says no one has actually met our valuation. It means they know, they feel it, their gut, their instincts tells them that someone is going to trigger his release clause, someone is going to trigger his contract, someone is going to sign him, right? So for me, Shakhtar need to do one thing. Start right now looking for a replacement for MUDRYK. Such a talent is very hard to replace. It's the same story with Anthony at Ajax. Such players are very hard to replace. We've lost such players in Robin van Persie, and it has taken us time to replace him. Alexander Sonbilong, it has taken us time to replace him. I think Alexis Sanchez as well, and Messi Ozil. So it's very hard to replace such players unless you begin early and you act in time. So, look, lots of stories for us to dive into. We'll be going into Mikel Arteta's press conference later, and a couple of other transfer stories as they flow in on Cossy's Arsenal podcast. Hit the like button. I'll see you soon.